Listen, 3 major forecast models just converged on the exact same solution in the last 6 hours. And we're talking about 80 million people directly in the path of what could become a historic winter storm. Right now, at this very moment, nearly 300,000 customers are sitting in the dark without power from last weekend's catastrophic ice storm, and the coldest air of the entire winter is about to slam straight into these exact areas. What changed overnight is massive. The European model just shifted this coastal low 40 miles westward, which means cities that thought they were safe are now directly in the crosshairs for potentially feet of snow. We're tracking a potential bomb cyclone developing off the Carolinas, with pressure forecasted to drop from 1,005 to 971 millibars in less than 24 hours. And if you know anything about coastal storms, you know that's extremely dangerous. Drop your city in the comments right now and I'll break down exactly what you need to know, because this forecast is changing every single model run and your preparation window is closing fast. Before we dive into the timeline, let me show you what's happening across the country right now, because the setup we're dealing with is absolutely insane. Minneapolis just hit negative 10 degrees with wind chills approaching negative 30. Chicago is sitting at 15 to 20 degrees with wind chills between negative 10 and negative 20. This is brutal Arctic air that originated over the North Pole. Meanwhile, Los Angeles is enjoying 68 degrees and Phoenix is hitting 70 degrees. That temperature gradient between west and east is exactly what's fueling this developing monster. Now here's what makes this absolutely terrifying. That historic Arctic blast is currently slamming the eastern United States, crushing temperature records from Florida straight through to Maine. New York City is barely cracking 18 degrees with wind chills at negative 5. Boston is at 15 degrees with wind chills approaching negative 10. Philadelphia sitting at 20 degrees. Washington, D.C. at 25 degrees. But here's the nightmare scenario. Nearly 300,000 people still don't have power from last weekend's ice storm that has now caused over 100 fatalities. Picture this for a moment. You're already freezing in your powerless home, and now the temperature outside is about to drop another 15 to 20 degrees over the next 48 hours. This isn't about canceled school or inconvenient commutes anymore. This is straight up survival for thousands of families across Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana sitting in the dark right now. And another major problem is brewing this weekend, because we're tracking a dangerous coastal storm that could undergo explosive intensification and become a bomb cyclone. This is fundamentally different from last weekend's ice event. When pressure drops 24 millibars in 24 hours, you get blizzard conditions with wind gusts exceeding 60 miles per hour. If this storm takes the track that models are showing right now, it could dump feet of snow from the Carolinas through New England, with some areas seeing 20 plus inches. We're even talking about rare snow in Florida. And I need you to understand how wild that sounds, but the setup for Gulf effect snow on Saturday is absolutely there. What makes this potentially catastrophic is blizzard conditions are on the table. Sustained winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour with gusts over 60, creating complete whiteout conditions. Let me break down what's happening in major cities right now, starting with the areas already getting hammered by extreme cold. Detroit is at 10 degrees with overnight lows at negative 5. Milwaukee at 10 degrees with lows at negative 5. These are sub-zero wind chill conditions where frostbite occurs in under 10 minutes. Columbus sitting at 15 degrees. Indianapolis at 15 degrees, both with overnight lows at 0, dealing with extreme cold but no new snow today. Now here's where this gets truly remarkable. That Arctic air is diving all the way to the deep south, where infrastructure simply isn't built for these conditions. Dallas just had 70-degree weather 5 days ago. Now you're looking at 50 to 55 degrees today. But Saturday morning brings temperatures in the teens with wind chills near 0. That's a 55-degree temperature swing in less than a week. Your homes aren't insulated for this. Your pipes aren't protected. And your power grid wasn't designed to handle this kind of sustained cold. Houston is at 55 to 60 degrees today, but lingering ice from last weekend is still causing widespread power outages, and this incoming cold makes that situation life-threatening. Nashville and Memphis are dealing with temperatures in the 30s, but over 200,000 customers are still without power in these areas, creating a genuine emergency. Now let me show you what changed in the overnight model runs, because this is when meteorologists started scrambling to update forecast. At midnight, the European model had this coastal storm tracking well offshore. Minimal impacts for most of the East Coast. Just another miss. But the 6 a.m. model run shifted that track dramatically westward, bringing heavy snow and potential blizzard conditions into play for tens of millions of people. This is the kind of last-minute change that can mean the difference between a dusting of snow and 2 feet of accumulation burying your driveway. The GFS model is now showing something even more aggressive, a rapidly intensifying low-pressure system meeting the technical definition of a bomb cyclone. When these coastal storms undergo bombogenesis, they produce snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour, creating rapid accumulation that overwhelms any attempt to keep roads clear. Charlotte, North Carolina is sitting at 35 to 40 degrees today. Dry right now, but winter storm watches are already posted for tomorrow with potential for 1 to 3 inches. Raleigh is at 35 to 40 degrees, dry today, but models are converging on 1 to 4 inches of snow tomorrow as this system rapidly develops. Greensboro could see 2 to 5 inches. Durham has possible snow tomorrow. This entire North Carolina corridor is in the bullseye right now. Virginia Beach is at 35 to 40 degrees today, but here's where this gets wild. Heavy snow potential tomorrow and Sunday could bring 4 to 8 inches or more. Richmond has winter storm watches posted. Atlanta's northeastern suburbs are under winter storm watch. This is a massive zone of impact. But now let me tell you about the absolute craziest part of this forecast. Something that would be historic if it actually happens. We're tracking the genuine possibility of measurable snowfall in Florida. And when was the last time you heard a meteorologist say that sentence and actually mean it? Tampa is sitting at 70 to 75 degrees today, sunny and warm, but Saturday could bring Gulf effect snow, which is an extremely rare meteorological phenomenon. Jacksonville at 55 to 60 degrees today could see snow flurries tomorrow. Orlando at 75 to 80 degrees today might wake up to snow flurries Saturday morning. I don't expect accumulation in Florida, maybe a dusting or coating near Tampa, but the fact that we're even discussing this shows how extreme this Arctic outbreak is. Miami, think about what that means for a state where the average winter low is 60 degrees and people genuinely don't own winter coats or have home heating systems. Now let's talk about what's happening today and tonight before the main event kicks off this weekend, because things are already getting active. Light snow showers across the northern plains and Ohio Valley, nothing significant, but enough to create slick spots circling underneath this intense Arctic high. Tonight and early tomorrow morning, those snow showers continue on the south and east side of the high-pressure system, with light snowfall possible in the Carolinas and Tennessee. Saturday morning, don't be surprised if you see snow flurries in Texas, Alabama, and Mississippi. Not widespread, but absolutely possible in this extreme cold. But the big story, the one everyone needs laser focused on, is the winter storm forming along the East Coast Saturday into Sunday. Saturday begins with showers and snow showers across the mid-Atlantic, North Carolina, Virginia, even northeastern Georgia. Light to moderate snowfall initially. Heaviest snow initially in the Appalachian Mountains and near Charlotte. But while that's happening, a low-pressure system begins moving over Florida. It then shifts just south of Cape Hatteras, and that's the critical moment when moisture really cranks and all that cold air wrapping around forms an intense winter storm. Saturday afternoon and evening, watch multiple elements develop simultaneously, a large band of snow forming on the north and west side of this low. From Atlanta back towards Virginia Beach, the heaviest snow concentrated in South Carolina, North Carolina, and far eastern Virginia. By Saturday night, heavier snowfall starts mixing in as the coastal low rapidly intensifies, snowfall rates potentially reaching 1 to 2 inches per hour. The European model shows this dropping to 974 millibars by Sunday morning off the Carolina coast. That's bomb cyclone territory with potential for historic impacts. I'm getting very confident we'll see blizzard warnings issued for the Outer Banks of North Carolina. An all-out raging blizzard with sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. Even inland as far as Myrtle Beach could see blizzard conditions. I think blizzard warnings get issued in the next 24 hours for the Carolina coast. This intense band of snow then rides up the coastline through Sunday, delivering a significant punch to coastal New England by Sunday afternoon and evening. Cape Cod could see a whopper of a blizzard. Then it hits down East Maine. We're talking about potential for 20 plus inches in some of these coastal areas. Now let me address the Interstate 95 corridor, because the million-dollar question is, does this hit the big cities or stay offshore? Baltimore, sitting at 22 to 28 degrees today, could see anywhere from a coating to 3 inches, depending on how far west this coastal low tracks. Washington, D.C. at 25 to 30 degrees today, dry right now. Storm potential exists, but track will determine everything. Just 20 miles makes a massive difference. Philadelphia at 20 to 25 degrees could see light snow. New York City at 18 to 20 degrees. This is where the forecast gets really tricky. If this low tracks just 20 miles farther west than currently forecasted, New York City sees significant snow. If it stays on current track or shifts east, just a coating. The further you live out in eastern Long Island, the more snow you get. You're plenty cold enough for all snow. It's just whether you get the moisture. Watch for last-second northwest shifts. It wouldn't take much to go from hardly nothing to an all-out blizzard. Just a 30-mile adjustment changes everything. Boston at 15 to 20 degrees is definitely in play for this. I think you're locking in several inches of snow starting Sunday. Extreme cold persists throughout. Southern New England near Cape Cod and Nantucket could see much higher totals, potentially 20 to 22 inches. Yes, it's possible, but we need to watch that exact track. This one's much trickier than last weekend's storm because it's a coastal system. These are notoriously difficult to forecast. 10 to 20 miles determines who gets buried. Let me show you the snowfall forecast maps because these numbers are absolutely wild and show the potential magnitude if this verifies. The European model shows significant snow from northeastern Georgia through Virginia into southern New England. Some areas near Charlotte could see 6 to 10 inches. Heaviest snow most likely across the Carolinas and far eastern Virginia, where totals could exceed a foot. Coastal areas like Myrtle Beach and the Outer Banks facing blizzard conditions. When you combine heavy snow with winds gusting to 60 miles per hour, you get complete whiteout conditions. Travel becomes outright impossible. Widespread power outages from snow-laden trees and high winds. This could shut down large portions of the East Coast for multiple days. I fully expect winter storm watches, warnings, and blizzard warnings issued over the next 24 to 48 hours for the Carolinas and Virginia. But here's what's going to be even more widespread than the snow. A very significant Arctic blast this weekend, shattering records all along the East Coast. This arrives tomorrow night into Saturday, bringing brutally cold air back into the southeast. Florida, Georgia, South Carolina breaking dozens of temperature records. It sticks around through at least Monday and Tuesday before things improve mid to late next week. But it remains chilly across the southeast for several days. Tomorrow is when this extreme cold really begins. Across the northern plains and northeast, many areas seeing lows as cold as 20 degrees below zero. That's not wind chills, folks. That's actual air temperature. Minneapolis at 5 to 10 degrees with overnight lows at negative 10. Absolutely brutal sub-zero conditions. Madison, Wisconsin at 8 to 12 degrees with lows at negative 8, experiencing extreme cold rivaling the worst of winter. Saturday, very cold air makes it all the way to the Gulf Coast, some areas as low as 0 degrees, like Kansas City and Oklahoma City Saturday morning. Back near Nashville and areas just impacted by that crippling ice storm, over 200,000 customers still without power, dealing with extreme cold Saturday. Power needs restoring quickly because homes cool rapidly when temperatures drop this low. Pipes freeze and burst. Vulnerable populations face serious risks. Late Saturday into early Sunday, temperatures drop below freezing across nearly all of Florida, even Miami near freezing, which is absolutely wild. All of the Ohio Valley and Northeast experiencing extreme cold. Sunday and Monday, temperatures remain very cold across the eastern tier. Let me show you the wind chill forecast for Saturday morning because these numbers are genuinely life-threatening across large portions of the country. Wind chills across the northern plains and upper Midwest in the -30 to -40 range. Frostbite occurs in less than 10 minutes in these conditions. Even in Florida, it's going to feel like 13 degrees in Orlando Sunday morning. If you need 20 blankets this weekend, you might actually need them. Now, let me give you specific preparation steps because this is a serious situation requiring immediate action. Not tomorrow, right now. If you're anywhere from northeastern Georgia through the Carolinas, Virginia, into New England, start preparing today. Stock up on supplies in case you lose power. Flashlights, batteries, non-perishable food, water, necessary medications. Charge all devices right now. Have backup power options ready. Make sure you have ways to stay warm if power goes out. Extra blankets, alternative heat sources, dress in layers. This is critical for survival. Avoid travel Friday night through Sunday if at all possible. This is not a storm to be out driving in. Conditions will deteriorate rapidly. If you absolutely must travel, emergency kit in your car with supplies for extended stay. Blankets, food, water, flashlight, phone charger, shovel. Check on elderly neighbors and anyone needing help preparing. This is when community matters. Bring pets inside now with enough food and supplies. For those still without power from last weekend, time is running out to find safe shelter before the most extreme cold arrives Monday and Tuesday. Know where local warming shelters are located. Have addresses and phone numbers written on paper, not just in your phone, in case your battery dies. Stock up on necessary medications now because pharmacies could be closed for days if this storm materializes as forecast. Don't wait until the last minute. If you use heating oil or propane, get tanks filled today. If you have fireplace or wood stove, stock up on firewood right now while you still can. Be extremely careful with portable generators and space heaters. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every winter. Keep generators outside, away from windows. Let me rapid fire through some additional cities so you know exactly what to expect in your area over the next 48 hours. Pittsburgh at 15 to 20 degrees. Cleveland at 15 to 20 degrees. Buffalo at 10 to 15 degrees. All dealing with extreme cold, likely staying dry through this coastal event. Louisville at 20 to 25 degrees, Cincinnati at 18 to 22 degrees, frigid conditions persist. Memphis at 35 to 40 degrees, still dealing with power outage issues. Wichita at 25 to 30 degrees, Omaha at 15 to 20 degrees, Lincoln at 15 to 20 degrees, all experiencing dry but brutally cold conditions through the weekend. Out west, complete contrast. Seattle at 45 to 50 degrees with rain. Portland at 45 to 50 degrees, wet conditions. San Francisco at 58 to 62 degrees, partly cloudy. Los Angeles at 64 to 68 degrees, sunny and warm. San Diego at 62 to 66 degrees, beautiful. Phoenix at 65 to 70 degrees, dry. Las Vegas at 55 to 60 degrees, sunny. This massive temperature gradient from coast to coast, 140-degree difference between Phoenix and Minneapolis, is exactly what's driving this explosive storm development. Denver at 35 to 40 degrees with light snow possible. Colorado Springs at 35 to 40 degrees cold. Albuquerque at 45 to 50 degrees dry, all experiencing winter conditions. Boys, back to the concern areas. Toledo at 12 to 18 degrees, heading for sub-zero overnight. Lexington at 20 to 25 degrees, frigid. St. Louis at 20 to 25 degrees, cold and dry. I'll be monitoring this continuously and providing updates as new model data arrives every 6 hours. The forecast will become clearer as we approach the weekend. Drop your city in the comments if you need specific information. I'm reading every comment and answering as many as possible with tailored forecasts. Details will change. That's the nature of forecasting dynamic coastal systems. But the overall threat of a major winter storm is absolutely not going away. This could be one of the most significant winter weather events in recent years for the Carolinas and Virginia. Preparation is not optional. Coastal storms are notoriously difficult to forecast. A 20 to 30 mile shift in the low pressure track means the difference between 2 feet of snow and nothing. Yesterday at this time, we weren't even discussing this as a major threat. The model showed it tracking well offshore with minimal impacts. But with each new model run, particularly overnight, confidence has been increasing for a significant East Coast winter storm with potential historic impact. What concerns me most isn't even the potential snow totals. It's the timing of this Arctic air in relation to ongoing power outages from last weekend. Right now, nearly 300,000 people are in homes without electricity, many for 4 days already, and that number could increase dramatically with this weekend storm. Monday morning, temperatures plunge below freezing across the entire affected region. Tuesday morning brings single digits as far south as the Carolinas. For anyone without power, this transforms from an inconvenience into a genuine, life-threatening emergency. Homes cool rapidly in single-digit weather. Pipes freeze and burst. Vulnerable populations, including elderly, children, and those with medical needs, face serious risks that cannot be overstated. This isn't a typical winter storm where schools close for 2 days and everyone's back to normal by Wednesday. This is more like a frozen hurricane. Widespread infrastructure damage, extended power outages, dangerous conditions lasting well after precipitation ends, potentially affecting people for a full week. If you're anywhere in the affected zone from northeastern Georgia through the Carolinas into New England, you need to prepare now, not tomorrow, not Friday morning, right now. Fill bathtubs with water for flushing toilets if water pressure drops. Gather blankets and sleeping bags in one room to conserve heat if power goes out. Have addresses and phone numbers written on paper, not just in your phone. Check on elderly neighbors today. Make sure they have plans and supplies. This is when community really matters. We look out for each other during extreme weather events. It's what separates a bad situation from a tragedy. If you must travel this weekend, pack a complete emergency kit. Tell someone your route and expected arrival time so people know where to look if you get stranded. In blizzard conditions, visibility drops to near zero. You can become disoriented within seconds. Stay off roads during the worst of the storm. The snowfall forecast maps I showed you earlier are based on the most recent model consensus, but I want to emphasize these numbers will continue to fluctuate. Some areas currently forecasted for 6 to 10 inches could see 15 to 20 inches if the track shifts slightly west, or they could see 2 to 4 inches if it shifts east. That's why you need to stay updated continuously through this weekend. Check back for new forecast every 6 to 12 hours as model data improves. I'll have another comprehensive breakdown within 12 hours showing the latest model trends, any track adjustments, and refined snowfall forecast for specific cities. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss critical updates. This situation is evolving rapidly, and timing matters for your preparation. Remember, the European model has been remarkably consistent with this storm for the past 48 hours, which increases confidence in the overall pattern. The GFS model has been trending toward the European solution with each successive run. That convergence is exactly what forecasters look for. When multiple independent models agree on the general setup, the question becomes not if, but where and how much. The details rather than the overall threat. For those in snow zones rather than ice zones, still prepare for power disruptions because heavy, wet snow combined with high winds brings down trees and power lines. The combination of extreme cold, heavy snow, and high winds creates a perfect storm for widespread outages that could last days in some areas. Make sure you have alternative heating sources that are safe to use indoors. Never use outdoor grills or generators inside because of carbon monoxide risk. Every winter, people die from carbon monoxide poisoning trying to stay warm. Don't become a statistic. Use heating equipment only as designed and intended. The long-range pattern beyond this weekend continues to look cold for the eastern United States. There could be another Arctic shot late next week. If we do see another Arctic blast during the latter half of next week, it will be a much smaller version of what we're dealing with now. But the overall pattern has shifted into a regime favoring cold and active weather across the east. Winter is not done with us yet, not even close. The bottom line is this: a major winter storm is highly likely this weekend, record-breaking cold is certain, and you need to take both threats seriously. Prepare today, stay informed with continuous updates, look out for your neighbors, and make smart decisions about travel and safety this weekend. Thanks for watching. Drop your city in the comments for specific forecasts, and I'll see you in the next update with the latest information.